Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Heck yeah, let's go. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. I'm trying to equip everyone with some great leadership skills, whether you identify as a leader now or not. When you leave this, you'll feel super leadery. And that's my promise. But I'm specifically focusing on building out inclusive and equitable teams. So whether or not you know it, you have a diverse team in some capacity or another. So let's build people up and let's make sure that they are all able to take the next steps in their career paths. And that's what leaders do. Leaders also know how to work this. Okay, so quick. What's up? How's it going? We just started. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. A quick stuff for the ethos. I taught in public schools for a long time in Nashville and then in Springfield. I actually taught where I went to school, which is weird because my principal was my principal. He was like, "You can call me Tad now," and I was like, "No, I can't." I was a Teach for America alum, so I've worked with a lot of different charter schools, including Up Education in Boston. And then now I work at Last Call Media. I'm a project manager and the OG DEI initiative starter. So we got some stuff rolling there. Got some cool stuff done. I also work with the Story Collider, which is a podcast. Well, the end product is a podcast. We also teach the power of story and the impact it can have, specifically in terms of the sciences. So if you want to know more about that, hit me up after. And now I'm a spoiler, the owner of 10 Forward, which is a community arts space in Greenfield. Very community driven, so I've definitely learned a lot about leadership from working there. And then I just do a bunch of stuff in the area too. So if you're local to Western Mass, like come check some stuff out. And a lot of what I do in terms of my day job is like informed by what I do in a bigger community driven capacity. So I'm always taking things from everything and passing it on. Here's what we're going to try to do. So let's align on why we're here. I don't think you're in here to be slightly cold and sit in an uncomfortable chair. So we're trying to gain practical, like immediately implementable strategies to be better, more inclusive, and equitable leaders. What does that mean? That means we're going to learn some actual things we can do like today, like as a leader. How can you build in inclusive, equitable practices? How can you sustain and build a positive team culture? And then how can we not just like empower and retain, but then also build on the talent we already have? And that starts, believe it or not from growing in diversity, but in growing our inclusivity and equitability practices. All right. Here's an overview of the structure of what we're going to do. We did the intro already. Check. Hey, we're 1/9 of the way there. We'll do some think, pair, shares. That sounds scary. Don't worry, it is. I skipped number 3 by accident, so I know numbers really well. We'll talk about some stuff also, and then I'm gonna build on what I learned as an educator, using quantum learning, a little bit of CBT, DBT, a little bit of nonviolent communication, and how I can integrate, or how we all as leaders can integrate that into what we do. Oh my God, Lynn, you're late. Just like regular stand-up. I just played. I was messed up. Lynn, check this out. I skipped number 3 by accident. All right. So take a second if you just get here, get comfy. Soak this in like bread and soup. How's that? All right. That's for you guys at home. What a stressful noise. Okay. Already we learned 2 things that I always do. Always share and align on the why when I start anything. Like if I want to come across as a leader, like that's one of the first things that I do. Is like I tell you why we're here. Like what are we actually trying to do? And you can't help me iterate on what I'm trying to do if you don't know why the heck you're here. So let's talk about that. Granted, I got 45 minutes, so we can't really iterate too much today. But always open to feedback, you guys. And then every time I come into a meeting, if as a leader, when I'm serving in a leadership capacity, I have a plan for what I'm doing there, and hopefully I'm moving towards something with the group. And that's super, put that in your pocket. These are, believe it or not, these are very inclusive and equitable practices. You know, everyone has a seat at the table when they know what's going on. Clarity. All right, let's do this. This is crazy. We're getting wild, you guys. We're getting absolutely insane. We're gonna think pair share. Y'all know what that is? All right, you're gonna think about something, and you're gonna pair with somebody, and then we're gonna share it out. What? You're nuts. Stop. What does it look like, sound like, feel like? I mean, smell like if you gotta go there. I do wear a Ventus cologne. What does it look like, sound like, feel like? So we're gonna do 2 minutes by yourself, just thinking in your brain. You got a notebook? That's a great time. Take it out. Write it down. In your head, in your notes app. What does leadership look like, feel like, sound like? I'm setting a timer. 2 minutes. Go.
Okay.
All right, like 10 seconds. All right. We're going to pair up. You can start with the people immediately in your radius. Do what makes you feel safe, comfort-wise, with like masks and everything. So if you need them, keep them. I like to have mine on. If you need to get up and find somebody, go find somebody. We're going to pair up for 5 minutes. 5 minutes and talk. All right, go.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. I'm like a fool. Just in your house at like 50. Otherwise, I sweat over that. It's terrible. What did you think?
Yeah.
I thought of a mountain. Absolutely, my aunt still makes it. It's so good. And the frosting, that's also sugar
Yeah, the one that I came up with was like
thing? Like, is that what you're supposed to say? Like really literal? Like, I The noise, what do you think feel like? I wanted to say like strong, but it's on he's near the sound is pretty hard. It sound like yeah, okay. But opposite of a non-big sound. That you have to say. You just sealed it. Yeah, this crowd here, I think they can handle it. Oh my god. Sound, I don't know. What did I say? Melon? Like melon or no? I felt like you're seeing people like, you know, like a guy and like you're getting to like, okay. So that's about yeah, oh, good call. All the sites, see? You're right.
Yeah, everyone moderating.
Yeah, like, yeah, okay, I like that. Okay, so let's do now. Sound, though, I think is hard. What did you think about feel? Anything? I'll go with it because it's my. We're gonna have to justify it, but if we don't have to justify it, I say So is it kind of like making the one thing make it You're getting deep. Sorry, we don't have a gluten-free option. I mean, you're not addicted, it does kind of sound. How else can we say it, I guess? I don't want to say it because I feel like I kept saying it sounds like physical thing.
All right, 30 seconds. No, start knowing what you're going to share out. Start thinking about what am I going to share.
Oh, no. You have to say this is I came to listen. God damn it.
That's the oh my.
We can say not insurance.
Let's bring it back together in 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. I already have my favorite note of the entire session. I said we're gonna share out, and I heard, what? I came to listen.
Yeah.
So, anyway, my work here is done. Alright, I'm gonna just throw it around the room, and I wanted to start. I heard the words "listening without judgment." I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember who I heard say that, but if that was you, that was okay.
Maybe someone else did it too. I don't want to take all the credit.
Well, cool. We'll start here, and then we'll throw it to another group as well. I'm just gonna take some notes as we share here. Anything you want to add to that, or any way to expand on that idea?
of listening without judgment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about like the why is like the container. And so we're trying to figure out what we need to do to move forward as a leader, with goals and objectives as our why. So listening, you can't see all the pieces. You can only see the piece that you have. You need to listen to other pieces that everybody else has.
We talked about empathy, which I think is related.
Can you repeat some of the stuff people say? Because those of us who are hiding in the back have a hard time hearing.
I'll do you one better.
Oh, you gotta make it bigger type than that, man.
You can move up. Sorry. All right. I don't know. Okay. Well, I heard empathy, but before we get to empathy, I wanted to grab something. We don't have as leaders, we don't have all the pieces.
Yep.
So we need them. We need them. So we need to listen to get them. And then I heard empathy and then continue.
Empathy to someone else.
Oh,
Yes,
empathy.
yes.
I think that's similar. Being able to listen to someone and empathize with where they're coming from. Seems like a quality. That's something that we talked about as a quality.
How are you talking about like delegating, something along those lines?
Oh, I mean, I said, finding people who are better than you.
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
Taking their ideas and pretending they're yours.
A true leader. We're not gonna really type that. What are we missing?
I feel like humility is something that I, want and try to do.
Why?
Especially in the context of engineering and software development, a lot of leaders are ex-individual contributors. And so there's this, I've worked with senior architects who just always tried to show off that they were better than you at the craft, and would scrap a project if their vision didn't make it, which is costly and stupid, frankly. And so if I'm programming something and I don't know something, I just say, hey, I don't know this thing. And it actually bolsters the team when they realize that this senior developer or senior whatever, still has to read the documentation.
I don't know about anyone else, but another word that came to mind when I heard this too was vulnerability.
Yeah.
A scary word. Mostly because I don't know how to spell it. Go for it. You don't have to raise your hand.
Praise in public and mentor in private.
I think there's some aspect of advocacy involved as well, sort of like hearing what people have to say and helping them be heard elsewhere.
That somewhat ties into what I was going to mention is empowering other people.
I was thinking about flexibility. Like, we made the idea of a mountain being or leadership being like a mountain, but if you're leading something, sometimes you have to pivot if it's not the task, the goal that everybody, that's going to benefit everybody.
Listen to the others.
Mm-hmm.
we had a decisiveness, ability to like make a hard decision.
Yeah, go for it.
A couple of things. One, to challenge your team so that they can grow in a kind way, but you want to grow your team. But it was funny because we were talking about a lot of these things, and then we realized, oh yeah, you know, it's kind of important that you want to align the team with the goals of the organization.
I think that goes for within the team too. One of the things that we talked about was, you know, in conversations with a team, you can listen all you want, but at the end of the day, like, you have to make a decision based on all the input that you're hearing. And so being able to align a team together toward one direction seems really important.
I get that right. So listening, obviously, but then making the decision and being able to kind of get the team on board and align with what you're doing.
Yeah.
I had alignment, delegating, listening without judgment, just from some of the stuff I picked up while I was walking around. It's really interesting because I don't see anywhere on here leadership looks like a tie and a button down. Like, right? Like, we don't, like, it actually doesn't look like anything ostensibly. It's very much like these are qualities that anyone can have, and someone can walk around and say lit and word like I do and still be a leader because I know how to listen to people and like embody some of the right. So we as leaders, as people that have a like say in where we work, like we have to look through some of the like the things that we see on the outside. We have to look for some of the soft skills and find ways to empower people. And I'm seeing like right here, like everyone in here already basically knows it, and then it's like, how do we do it though? Like, how do we actually do it? Like, alignment is so hard. Like, how do we get people on our side as a leader? Why do we care about having them on our side? Should they be on our side? That's so stressful. Are we missing anything?
Actually, what you just said is we were talking about the accountability of a leader.
Can you say more?
Well, I guess just being able to, we've talked about decisiveness, so it's about like then owning that decision moving forward, even if maybe the outcome isn't what you were hoping
Or isn't what the team was like, we aligned on this, we really thought the outcome was going to be this, but, you know, as the leader, effectively I'm the one who should be accountable to what happens at the end of the day. Mm-hmm.
I just got this new job, and I think about trusting your leaders. As my bosses.
The funny part is, this is all of our employees saying these things here. So, yeah. We're just, Spencer and I are just like, oh, great. We don't do this? Oh, good. Yeah. Just to throw it out there.
Hey, y'all being here right now, it speaks. Everything
It's
speaks.
great.
Everything speaks. Do you have any thoughts on how we can build trust in our leaders?
It's such a question, because given the context of like the social environment we're all living in, how do you build trust? It seems like an ongoing relationship that is fostered, and with all of those things that everybody else said included in it.
It feels like there's like a lot of those values that are up there, empathy, humility, like those are part of building trust. It's kind of a vicious circle.
Right? Okay.
Part of building trust is requesting feedback and providing feedback.
It's getting smaller. I'm sorry back there. I knew this was going to happen.
Also, I'm thinking with trust, you have to make sure that everyone feels safe.
Oh, safety, what a toxic word for some people. Why? I don't know. Yeah, safety's tough. Thoughts on how we do that? How do we build safety?
Well, there's job safety and then there's physical safety, which are different things. Right? What am I going to get fired for versus am I physically safe at this job? Or mentally safe, yeah. The well-being, the self-safety.
Okay. We're gonna keep coming back to this, keep writing things down, we're gonna keep adding to this throughout. Wow. Impressive. So hey, here's another thing. Give everyone a chance to speak. It doesn't mean like everyone you go around and everyone says something. It means like you can use a breakout room, right? We're all kind of working in a remote setting, right? Does anyone actually physically go into an office in here? Do you? Okay. So
One day a week.
1 day a week. Got it. Okay. So and the majority of us are in Zooms a lot of times. Like one of the best ways to ensure that every voice can be heard is to like do that on purpose all the time, like all the time. And then when people come back, take notes on what they're saying. I think we lose a lot of time, in my opinion, to, as a leader, like, in every meeting, trying to hear every voice, when a lot of times you can accomplish just as much in a quicker amount of time by doing breakout rooms, having folks talk to each other, and come back. Like, if I went person by person by person, we'd probably get to the same end result. It would just take much longer. And that way everyone's voice can legitimately feel heard. If someone wants to jump in and correct something that their partner says, they totally can. But you get the same result in a shorter time. I mean, Zoom and stuff is great for that, and it's all built in. All right? And then as a leader, it's your responsibility. I mean, it's my responsibility. I'm speaking from I statements. Like, I have to take notes on what my team is saying to me. I have a big team of international developers. They're from all different cultures all over the world. And if they don't, at the end of the day, if they don't feel heard, then I can't have a cohesive team where we actually are able to get things done. Not only do we have language barriers, we have all sorts of different barriers. I mean, there's a lot of tricky lines that we walk culturally, and have to be able to have the trust with them to say, like, okay, let's not say that, sometimes. But that comes from me listening and taking notes when we do these bigger group meetings. Obviously. Okay, we probably know this stuff, but I just want to build on the schema a little bit about the differences between diversity and equity and inclusion. Diversity, that's you got invited to the party. Inclusion is you can go make a song request to the DJ. It's different. I think we focus so much, especially in IT, about like diversity, like, oh, we want a diverse team. It doesn't matter if you can't make a request to the DJ. Sure, like we're representing folks, but like without the inclusion, we can't retain, right? We can't not only just attract diverse talent, but then no one wants to participate. People don't feel comfortable taking risks, and you don't get that business growth. We all hear about diversity. If you don't have the inclusive practices and the equitable practices in place, you won't retain that talent. People won't feel safe to take risks anyway. And this goes across all. I'm not just talking about like race, gender, sexual orientation. It's like economic background, all that. It's like literally like if somebody comes from like I used to work here at a dining hall, like, and when I think about sometimes like my experiences are so different from other people on my team, and sometimes I want to pull from that experience, and I'm not sure if I can. Like, is that embarrassing? You know what I mean? But I want to be able to bring my whole self all the time. It helps to have a diverse team. It helps. But it's not really where we should focus on starting. So then equity is a little bit different from inclusivity. It's like the ways we pull folks up that maybe don't come from the same places as us. Norming, what can we do? What can we have? Like consistency, policy, and this is where like clarity is like so key. If we're not clear, if we don't have clear career paths, how can we really say we're being equitable to folks? Like, if you have to know who to talk to, if you have to read between lines, if you have to have come from a certain place to know how to do something that's not equitable. It's really not. All right. So one of the things that I bring with me everywhere is these quantum learning tendencies. Something I learned somewhere along my education line, and everything speaks, everything's on purpose. Experience before label, not as applicable here. Acknowledge every effort. If it's worth learning, it's worth celebrating. The first two are like, to me, like, so the context for these is like, as an educator in a classroom setting, this is how I was like, literally every single day I had to remember everything I do speaks. Like, every single thing I do. If I check my phone during a class, that sends a message. Right? Like, anything I do sends a message. And as a leader, like, we can't forget that. Like, you just can't. Like, and that includes the things you don't say. So we have to be deliberate and we have to be proactive. Like, everyone's watching you. Not just how you say it, but honestly, like, something I've been picking up on recently is, like, what you don't say. And one example, like, so I host an open mic at the Majestic every Monday, and it's a queer bar, but it's not an explicitly queer mic, it's a queer friendly mic. It's a mic I say is like, it's open to everyone, no matter how you identify, you should be able to come and feel comfortable performing there. Like, literally, no matter how you identify, that should be true. That said, there's a lot of folks that come in and they do jokes that don't align with that culture. But it's comedy. You know, what are you going to say? Don't joke about that? You know, like, well, yes, I do. But tactfully, right, by building a relationship. If I let someone go up and let's say I stop paying attention for 1 second, and they make a joke that alienates someone in the room, maybe a younger comic who doesn't feel represented in comedy already, and I let that slide, that sends a whole message to the room. So I have to be on all the time. Like, every single comic that goes up, I have to pay attention and be prepared, either one-on-one to have a conversation, or depending on how, depending if I'm able to make it funny for the whole group. It's different comedy because you gotta make everything funny. So, and we're gonna burn somebody, have to do it funny. But like, every single thing that I say or don't say sends a message to that room that inevitably builds the culture. Routines and predictability are not just ways to set your team up for success, but these are like super equitable practices. Like, not everybody comes from the same place, and in classroom teaching, when you have kids that, like, I mean, people are people, so it's the same principle, it's the same idea. Like, kids who don't have structure at home, they need to be able to come into school, come into work and know exactly what to expect, and like how they can deliver the best. Like, what they know exactly what is expected of them, and then they know who to ask if they're confused. That's huge. Clarity is key. Okay, questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Yeah.
I know we're talking about like cultural diversity, but what about like introversion versus extroversion? These practices that you're talking about work. I feel like as an extrovert, like, I'm always willing to talk, but I don't want to put others on the spot.
Yeah. What do we do?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking.
I think introvert, extrovert. We don't want to put introverts on the spot. How do we find out they're introverted?
Maybe they don't speak out.
Maybe they don't speak out. So what they don't say sends a message. How do you build a relationship with someone who's introverted?
Ask them.
Conversation. Hold on, I'm gonna skip to this. Yeah. Ooh. How's that? I'm a DJ. Okay. Yeah, like, if you don't ask, how are you gonna know?
Right.
Like, literally. Like, I know it sounds so basic, but it's just like, I mean, come on. Like, you can't listen if you don't ask. Did you have a thought?
Oh, I was just gonna say, that's why I liked your breakout rooms, and we also sometimes do collective scribing, so instead of people reporting out spoken, like, you can also share in the collective writing, so some people really like that. So instead of having to call out my answer, I'm just saying, so you can have people share the writer access, that can just, as another option, doesn't have to be every time.
I'm gonna write
So
that in
I really like
resources.
that, what you said.
Collective scribing. I'm writing that down.
In the past, for the introvert extrovert thing, we've actually started the retro board as soon as the sprint starts, and it's open and it's anonymous. And if you have a thought, you write it down, and no one is ever called out on those boards because it's anonymous. And it gives the introverts the time to process. I feel like a lot of retros these days, and it's an agile thing that I'm talking about, but like, it's like, okay, put all your thoughts in, 5 minutes, go.
Right.
Now, you might have a thought halfway through the week, and then you're gonna forget it by the time that comes.
What's a retro board? What is a retro board?
So retro is just like, but there's 1,000 flavors of them. But it's an agile principle of just checking in with your team. What's working for us? What's not working? What can we try? 3 questions that are commonly asked, and so people just put their stuff on a Post-it note, and then everybody talks about it. And as a team, you come up with experiments you're going to do for the next sprint cycle or whatever. And if it works, and you continue doing it. And if you don't, it doesn't. You stop.
Where does it look like in y'all, where y'all work? Like, where's the medium that you
Well,
make
let's
it?
look at an example
There's
later.
a-
Yeah, because
Sorry.
retro's like
Millions
no, that's
of
a
those
really
out there.
good question. I want to look at it too. It's a good way to basically step back and reflect throughout the process of a project, and then after, and yeah, if you break up work iteratively. Yeah, let's look at Metro Retro. It's one of my favorite ones. At the end here. Someone remind me if I don't remember to go back to that.
I don't remember that. I don't know that one.
It's playful. Okay. For example, like using this in a classroom is like easy, but it's like people are just people, right? So it doesn't really matter your age. Like people are showing up because, they gotta pay their bills. Like your leader, you want to hope that they're super invested and they're gonna work there until they die and they love you so much and they'll do anything for you. But ultimately, like they're choosing to show up and do what they gotta do. Like everybody got stuff going on. I had a flat tire yesterday. I came in here cried. No, I didn't. But pretend I did. And learning and growing involves risk taking, involves that vulnerability and stuff. And if we want our team to keep trying new things. And to do things on their own be trusted to have things delegated to them, we have to celebrate what they are doing, and that does mean feedback, and it does mean being vulnerable and open and being honest, even when it sucks and it's hard to do. But if we don't tell someone how they can improve, I don't really know how they can improve. Like I haven't figured that out yet. I think if they knew how to do something differently, they would just do it differently. Yeah, it's so true. Alright, we'll do another one. And try to find someone different. Okay, here we go. Think of a time. It's a think time. Think time. You made an impact, positive or negative. On community, you have a job, you have a hobby, you have a team. What was it like before? What changed? And then how did you know you actually made a difference? 2-minute think time. 2-minute think time. Write it down. Put it in your notes app. Text it to your mom. 2 minutes. All right. 10 seconds, but for the sake of time, let's jump in. Let's do like a true legit mingle. Try to find somebody else that you haven't met. Somebody, you know, maybe they're, if you got long hair, find somebody with short hair type of thing. All right. We're going to do 5 minutes. Got to keep it tight. All right, go.
Hi.
I'm Natalie.
Yeah, I was thinking, so I started a press meet. There's nothing like that before. Now that we're working people are run this thing that not really, but it's cool, and it felt cool to start something that had its own organic growth. Yeah, it's really neat. Like, in Greenfield, closer to Vermont, it's so cool. So it's going down the these things.
And good for you doing that as an employer.
Yeah, totally. It was hard.
The things that I was thinking of are situations where this tends to be a habit of mine where I go into a job or an organization and nothing is organized. We don't have any processes for how to do
that's
things.
us.
And I love to go in and okay, we're going to standardize these things. We're going to write down your processes. We're going to organize everything. So when I leave, it's all set up and for whoever comes out with me. And I love that.
That's so valuable.
I guess I think
And it seems like a part of growth. At least that's what we tell ourselves. Why we're so not there yet.
Yeah.
But having quite a few new people and even just hearing from them what it's an outsider or a third party perspective on how we've been doing it and how we can improve. It's been so helpful. So that I love that type of work.
I mean, we're not there at my current job, but we're
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, and there's never enough time.
I know. Does anyone get there, or is it just like an hour?
Also, giant corporations that have tons of content, tons of time to do this.
Bureaucracy. Yeah, that's true.
But for the rest of us,
But what about the protocol? I know.
Yeah.
What do you guys do? Wizard Pig?
Wizard Pig is the company.
That's great.
The product we're building is called Cyclops, and it's like Buxton.
Cool.
I haven't done everything. It has event planner, it has calendar, it has service booking, all kinds of stuff we're building.
What service people pay?
So that's what we're aiming for. We're working with some big companies who are kind of sourcing things kind of like as they need it, and then we would like to move into having plans so people can stay lost. It's kind of funny to say because we're a few different employees, but we have
It has its ups and downs.
developers, and then we both help them with this. We're also working on other things.
We're about that size, and I think that's a natural size to be starting to formalize processes.
Yeah.
It's been informal. We've been 1, 2, 3 people. It's only there's 6.
You got 1 minute. If you haven't switched yet, go ahead and switch. Go ahead and switch.
Now we have new people.
If you haven't shared yet, make sure you get a chance, basically.
I love it.
So it's fun.
The other one, no.
So what's your company name?
Fabulous Studio.
Okay.
Yeah, Wizard Pig, I will not forget that.
No.
Great name. Oh, yeah.
All right, let's come back together.
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
All right.
I was going to do it for Christmas.
So if you get it for Christmas this year.
I'm trying to remember all my. Yeah. All right, we got 2 minutes. All right. trying to remember all my ways I used to call class back, but it's been too long. Okay, thank you so much for engaging in that. That's awesome. That was vulnerable, and it took effort, and I'm acknowledging that. All right, boom. Listen, but I wanted to spend some time talking about how we knew we made a difference. I don't have like a ton of time, so I'm hoping that we were able to gather some insights from just chatting with folks. People are your best resource. Okay, boom. Where's my... Okay, so going back, just like asking questions, and then I wanted to talk really cool... Oh no, this did not update. Okay, I restructured us. We have 1 minute. One-on-ones. All right, when Gretchen spoke about like introverts versus extroverts, like if you want to get to know somebody, you have to invest the time. You have to. Like I don't just go to any community space I'm in and start telling people what to do. I sit down. I meet everybody for coffee. This is also for the internet. Just we can't tell tone from the internet, right? So when people comment things on my events that seem negative, I just say like, let's meet up, let's chat, let's get a coffee. Because as soon as you sit down face to face with somebody, you remember we're literally all just humans doing our best, and sometimes people just need to be reminded of that. Like I'm not just because like I run this event doesn't make me like a different type of like we're all the same. Like I mean obviously no difference, but regularly schedule one-on-ones. Make it a cadence that's actually sustainable to you, so you can show up and be present for your folks. And this is where the intentional scaffolding comes in. I think like I try to meet and just like have that initial conversation and see where they are, and then what I can provide for them that like will help them build that trust in me. It takes time, so it's not going to happen overnight. Setting up and maintaining procedures and structures for feedback, and then when you're noticing things aren't clear, that's when it's our responsibility as leaders to figure this out. I have a 19-year-old kid that works the soundboard at 10 Forward, and it's like, he's so good because he like is super open to feedback and like makes the time to ask me questions and be like, oh, was the bass too loud? And like not everybody is like that. Not everyone can be Iggy. So now I can tell him like your next step is getting to do a much bigger, more expensive show for like a bigger band. And I know that group has a super random example that doesn't help anyone here, but it helped me. Okay.
Do you have a format for one-on-ones that you can recommend?
I do. I don't have it in this slideshow, but I will.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other things, just like my other favorite resources, DBT and CBT are great for like just practical people skills and emotional regulation. If somebody's emotionally escalated, they cannot reason with you. So we have to know that as people. And sometimes the best thing to do is take a break and meet the next day. Sleep on it. It's no big deal. Facilitation skills, I love that collective scribing. There's a bunch of other, progressive stack things out there that I'll throw in here. And then, like, active listening is great. Nonviolent communication really took active listening for me to the next level. It's got me out of some, like, legitimately scary situations. By hearing the emotion and listening for the need, it was like, oh, I hear that you're scared about this conspiracy theory or whatever, and you need Joe Rogan to confirm it or whatever. I'm thinking. And then I didn't die on the way back from the airport. And so these are anyway. I wanted to show you Metro Retro really quick. So what did we have? We had another ask for a one-on-one framework.
Yep.
Anything else that would be helpful? Oh, I already have an account. Don't do this to me. And we're over. Okay, check this out though. It's called Metro Retro. It has different ways of thinking and reflecting on a project. Oh my gosh, you guys are so great. Thank you. I hope you have a lovely day. Stay safe out there.